All right, welcome to Husker Storm Blog. This is a breakdown of Nebraska, Penn State. We'll talk about last week when Nebraska played Northwestern. Nebraska falling to Northwestern. This was ridiculous. 5 years in a row, Nebraska loses at home to an unranked team. So through Bo Pelini's, this is his fourth year. He continues to struggle with his team coming out flat. 3 years ago, last year, overhyped against Texas. They were all hyped up and they came out flat and they lost. The year before that, they had a big win against Missouri, and then they got spanked against Texas Tech. And just like last year, they had a big win against Missouri, top 10 team. Then they go to Iowa State. Granted, they didn't have their backup quarterback. Granted, they had to play their backup quarterback, but they had to go to overtime to win that one. They should have won this game, and they gave it away with a fumble within the 5 and another fumble by Quincy Enunwa in the red zone after a 32-yard catch. Now, Taylor Martinez played great. I think the play calling was horrible. Tim Beck waited too long to get to the passing game. The offensive line has been too inconsistent. Yes, they're young, but Barney Cotton, get them freaking working. It's unacceptable. We have 3 offensive line coaches right now, and they can't get this offensive line to play consistently, and then they play the worst defense in the Big Ten, and they can't run the ball? Come on. Now, Taylor Martinez was great in the passing game. He scrambled pretty well in some plays, but he had about 4 botched reads where he should have gave it and should have held it sometimes. And a lot of those resulted in a loss of yardage, tackle behind the line of scrimmage, and Rex Burkhead looked like he was running on empty. After that 35-yard carry day, he didn't play very well. He didn't get through the holes quick. Now, the offensive line didn't create much holes, but he wasn't himself. And Northwestern's going to score points. We held them to 7 points in the first half. That's awfully impressive. Now, they probably should have had 14, considering they got picked in the red zone. But you held them. Come on. There's no reason why they didn't get picked in the red zone. That was in the second half. The first half, they fumbled it on, the Nebraska 45. But 7 points, and your offense has 3 points because you probably should have had 17 points, and you fumbled the ball twice in the red zone. And this looks like sloppy Nebraska football from last year. Penalties and turnovers. Yes, this is a young team, but I don't care. You can control your own destiny and get to the Big Ten championship. But then you come out flat against a good team. Yes, they are 4-5 and 2-4 in the Big Ten. But Northwestern can put up 30 points on anybody, besides maybe Alabama and LSU. They're going to put up points on you, no question. The defense played decent, besides the second half, where Sheontae Evans looked like a 4-year-old covering a NFL wide receiver. Jeremy Ebert burned him. Then there's these little crossing routes where him and Thorell couldn't stay on their men. Him and Thorell played terrible. Denard played his butt off. David played great. Steinkuhler played well. Yeah, they pounded the run right at us. Defensive line, we couldn't rotate between the tackles because Randall and Rome were out. So you had Steinkuhler in the whole game, and they were tired. And the offense couldn't get the run game working. You scored 10 points through 3 quarters against Northwestern. That is unacceptable. So now we get a look at Nebraska in Happy Valley versus the 12th ranked Nittany Lions. So Penn State fans were a little mad because Nebraska fell to Northwestern last week, so they didn't get to play an 8-1 team. But it doesn't matter. The 7-2 Nebraska team you're playing is better than your team. all around. Because Penn State relies way too heavy on their defense, and their offense is, not as bad as last year's, but it's pretty bad. So, if you look at this game and break it down, Nebraska's offensive line has been very inconsistent this year. They're young, very young, but last week they looked tired and confused. Now, Rex Burkhead is a great running back. It was his first fumble last week all year. And Silas Reed is a great running back. Rex Burkhead, I think, is better than Silas Reed. And he's behind a better offensive line than Penn State's. And he's got a better quarterback than Penn State. So Nebraska's offense is much better than Penn State's. And you look at the wide receiver position, Moy's a great wide receiver at Penn State. He's got great size, great speed. Nebraska's got better depth at that position. The offensive line, Nebraska's is inconsistent, but more consistent than Penn State's. Rex Burkhead, the running back trio, is much better than Silas Reed, or Silas Red, whatever. Tam Martinez is better than Matt McGoin. I think he's a better passer than Matt McGoin, not to mention he's a better runner than Matt McGoin. So Nebraska's offense has definitely the up on Penn State. I mean, if you look at this game defensively, Penn State's defense is better than Nebraska's. I mean, Penn State's has played great. There's a reason they're 8-1, and their only loss being to Alabama, the number 3 team in the country. And the fact that their schedule is very, 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 very weak. Their defense has played ridiculously well. But that being said, Nebraska put up 24 and 34 on Ohio State. They haven't been held to under 17 points. And the reason they only scored 17 when they were at Wisconsin was because they got out of their game plan and passed the ball 50 times. So I really think if Nebraska even scores their 17 points, that's going to be enough to beat Penn State. Now, if you look at the defenses, the front seven for Penn State is arguably better than Nebraska's. I think if Nebraska had Jared Crick, it might be better. But Penn State has played very well. If you look at cornerback position, Alfonso Nenard's the best cornerback. I believe he's the best cover corner in the country. Now, he may not make the plays like a Morris Claiborne from LSU would or a Tyrone Matthew, but he is pretty much shut down. I think he'll have a great day against Moy. I mean, all you got to do is put him on one-on-one coverage. He's going to get beat sometimes. It's going to happen. But, Nebraska's going to need to be a little bit more aggressive in stopping the run, unlike they were against Michigan State, because Penn State's going to rely on that run more than Michigan State. Now, Nebraska shut down Michigan State. Yes, they were at home, and the crowd's going to be silent when they're at Happy Valley when Penn State's on the field offensively. But Michigan State had Kirk Cousins, who's much better than Matt McGoin. But Silas Red is, I wouldn't say he's better than Le'Veon Bell, but he has a better offensive line than Michigan State. So I really think what Nebraska can do defensively is they can put 8 in the box. Drop a safety down there, leave Alfonso Nenard one-on-one coverage on Moy. And, that means probably bring Stafford down or Cassidy down into the box and have the other safety blanket the wide receiver that either Ciante Evans, Stanley Jean-Baptiste is on, or Andrew Green. I don't want to see Ciante Evans play. I would much rather see Baptiste or Andrew Green. I was impressed with Andrew Green against Michigan State. But really, I think if you put 8 in the box, Penn State's going to have a tough time running the ball. They're already going to have a tough time passing the ball. I think they're going to have a tough time running the ball. And, with all that right there, I really think Nebraska can hold them under 15 points, which is going to be easily enough to win the game. Yes, Nebraska's offense looked bad against Northwestern, but Northwestern is the third best offense in the Big Ten. I mean, it's Wisconsin, Nebraska, Northwestern, and then Michigan, and then Ohio State, and then Michigan State, and then Illinois, and then Penn State. Penn State's right there, maybe Purdue's ahead of Penn State. I don't know, but Penn State's, they're going to dial up a game plan. They had a week off. Yeah, there was controversy, but I don't think that's going to affect anything. Joe Pa off. I saw a stat him off bye weeks. He's like 550, and when he's regular, he's like 700 winning percentage. So there's not a big difference when they come off bye weeks. But I think they'll dial up a good game plan defensively, and they're gonna slow down the rushing attack of Nebraska better than anybody has this year, besides maybe Northwestern, because I don't know what the hell happened that week. But Rex Burkhead's going to get a heavy dose. I'd probably say 30 carries. We'll see Taylor Martinez pass the ball more than, 12 times against Michigan State. I think the offense is going to do a little bit more this week, a little bit more in their playbook this week. They're going to need to. I think they're going to keep this game. The defense is going to do a good job stopping Penn State. But, I really like Nebraska in this game. They came off a week after they lost, and they're going to Happy Valley, and they're pissed off. They played terrible last week. They overlooked a decent team, and a team that should have at least 6 wins, but on their defense is terrible, and they've had some bad luck with injuries. But now you go play an 8-1 team who's ranked number 12. You got another chance to beat a top 15 team, and you got to do it this week. And I think they do it in good fashion. I've got Nebraska winning this one, 24-13. Why, you're going to ask? I think the Nebraska offense is going to play much better this week than they did last week. Even if Nebraska doesn't even score, if they score 15 points, Penn State just, how could you like that offense? Silas Red's a great running back. No question about it. He's not Rex Burkhead, though. He doesn't have the backups like Nebraska, the trio of 4-star and 5-star running backs. So I really like Nebraska in this game. 24-13. We might see Nebraska come out slow, but I really like that offense wearing down Penn State's defense, and it could be a closer game, and Penn State finds a way to win like they always do. But I really like Nebraska in this game, 24-13. That's my prediction. Check back next week as we look over that game and look forward to the Big House in Michigan. Thanks.